Hello everybody and welcome to I was going to say emergency edition.
Yeah,
it's not an
emergency podcast. That's what we call it in other podcasts.
Is it?
So that's what we'll call it.
Alright.
We'll
Hello
actually
everybody.
use one of those alarms, like the emoji alarms. Yes.
Yeah, our emoji game on, because our emoji game is not good enough. Alright. Hi everybody and welcome to what we're calling an emergency podcast. Because this is serious. It originally broke as one of Russell Quirk's podcast, but then City AM went and separately verified a lot of the details. So that's why it has become quite the story that it's become. And obviously, if it is the case that this property portal, which is number 2 in the UK, is being sold off for something in the region of £500 million, then it throws a lot of kind of markers down. So Rightmove last September, you may recall, was on the block for 6.4 billion. REA Group went for it with Murdoch's money, and Rightmove said no. All right, and that was 6.4 billion. So Zoopla is now on the market for 500 million, and it doesn't seem like anybody has come in for it at that level. All right, otherwise they wouldn't be going
to tender, would they? No.
Yeah. So it seems. So I think that what must be happening is they are trying to surface some more interest, because it looks like they're definitely selling up the Silver Lake.
And I think it's worth as well just clarifying as far as we can, that is the way I understand it anyway, is that Zoopla has been divided up into 3 companies. So you've got Alto, which is the software, you've got Zoopla, that's the portals, and then you've got the use switch and compare. Which one is it?
Is it Confused?
Confused.
Yeah,
I was confused by what it was called there.
And then money.co.uk.
Yes.
Other bits and pieces.
So it's the third that is the portal that's coming up for this £500 million. It's still a lot of money, isn't it? But as you say, there's the bookend of that 6.6 at one end. And then how much did on the market go for?
It was just under, so I think it was 94 million.
Okay.
It was just under 100 million, I think. But that was back in 2023. So it's interesting. Simon Baker and the online marketplaces podcast last night put a figure that if Silver Lake had just put that 2.2 billion into bonds and various other kind of standard assets, and then that would be worth 4 billion now. So the fact that they are selling this asset for 500 million, with or without some of the other bits and pieces, one can speculate about how much Uswitch and Confused and the others form part of that 2.2 billion. I've read decent analysis that said that was probably about a few hundred million of it. So it was maybe 20-30% of the overall figure. So the lion's share of the money that Silver Lake paid for Zoopla at the time, Zoopla Property Group, was for the portal itself. And presumably with a very structured view of how they were going to develop it and then sell it off for 5x their money, which is what every VC is trying to do anyway in 3 to 5 years. But that's obviously, it's been harder than they thought. We've remained, again, it's fair to say, across most of the world, the dominant portal remains the dominant portal in all circumstances.
I think the main thing that's come clear is that they want out, don't they? And doing this, as you say, is probably they've had silent conversations in the background, not hit the valuation they want. They're trying to flush it out or get that push that we've alluded to before. Are homes.com in there? Are they making offers, and are they being challenged to bring that offer up higher to consolidate that, or are they just going to say, actually, we can take that 500 million and spend it marketing the life out of everything? Andy Flores actually said at Property Portal Watch last year, with that amount of marketing spend, we could rename every Premier League football ground the Homes.com Arena. We could sponsor every single team, so he got some interesting football teams named out of it. But I think he said it could be Manchester at the Homes Arena, sponsored by Homes.com, play in London at the London Arena, sponsored by Homes.com. Only one of those is an actual ground, obviously London Arena being where West Ham play, but it's a lot of cash.
Yeah, exactly. And it's exactly that. What could you do with that money instead? And actually is acquiring the asset of Zoopla and smashing it together with on the market, is that a decent strategy, bearing in mind how difficult it is to get distribution, to get abundance of listings, to be able to actually create something that is going to properly challenge Rightmove? And I think it's probably fair to say that since CoStar acquired on the market like a year and a half ago now, I think it's been less impactful than most people would have expected.
I don't want to use the term dragging on, because it's not that long of a time, but certainly public awareness of that side of things. I was an expectation that the Homes.com would come at some point this year. I know the website's been changed and the advertising's been removed and the mobile app's been improved, but it feels like there's an opportunity to do a lot more there.
Yeah, and I think from an agent's point of view as well, we speak to agents all the time, and there is this kind of, there was the hope, and I think this is almost like a kind of prevailing hope for agents, like for the last 20 years, is something's going to come along and challenge Rightmove. And CoStar was the big thing coming over the hill, white knight on a charger a year and a half ago, and then not a lot has fundamentally changed. So if I was an agent, I'd be looking at this and thinking, if they can come to some arrangement, and maybe, as Matt says, maybe CoStar have made an offer of 350 million. All right, and what Silver Lake are doing is just going out and just rattling the tin a little bit to see if anybody else wants to chuck in a bit more. But it seems like they're very certain to go out and they want to use that 500 million or however much they can get to dump into some more AI projects probably. So yes, if CoStar are the last ones left standing and it's 350 million, I don't think we're going to find out. It will be a deal for an undisclosed sum, and off it will go, and then maybe that's when we'll start to see some more movement. But yes, I think it's been a really, I think a real sort of surprise to me that actually it hasn't just been a done deal, and they haven't just gone, yeah, of course, let's send it to CoStar. CoStar are obviously holding out for a different value than Silver Lake have been wanting to pay. Yeah. Wanting to charge, sorry. And what does that mean for Alto, Reapit, the CRM side? Is there any kind of impact, or is that just going to go?
I think the Alto side of things been separated off for a little while now, hasn't it? We've got Ricardo Dawson got promoted to CEO of that. Yeah. They brought in a new partners manager just last week, or director, or some big fancy title. So they're obviously making that as its separate entity, and it's been worked on. Well, I've looked at it before and thought, what happens if Reapit and Alto came together as a business? What about Alto MRI? Obviously there'd be interesting pieces around there to see if that did happen, or are they just going to leave it, plugging its own roots and building? It's maybe not as exciting as what happens with the portals.
Yeah, I think it's unfair, isn't it? It's really unfair. This is like the bedrock of how you do business. Everyone's like, yeah, no, look at the shiny stuff over here.
Yeah,
it's really exciting. Exactly. There's lots of politics and stuff.
There's the word wars and battles and
you need CRM wars.
Yeah.
Hashtag. That's what we're going to.
It's not as exciting, is it?
Maybe not. All right, so that's pretty much where we've got to with it. You were just talking very quickly about this sort of potential mergers between Reapit and Alto. I think you were saying off air that there's a potential kind of competition markets authority.
As the two biggest players, I'd expect those, I don't know what market share is these days, but Reapit at one point was about a third of the listings on Rightmove was coming through Reapit, which means Alto is probably at that level, if not higher. So that seems like quite a dominant force. Yeah. And I know down in Australia that they've had a similar sort of challenges with some of the acquisitions and mergers down there because of just the sheer volume of agencies and transactions dealing with some of these CRMs. But what was really interesting is almost going back to where it was over a decade ago, wasn't it? As separate entities, you got these three businesses being spun out of Zoopla and seeing which way they all head off.
Actually, a bit of competition. So yeah, if you're an agent, then you might have more choice and perhaps better potential fees and stuff as a result of it. And yeah, just looking at the competition side from the portal perspective, I don't think that it would be too much, that it would trouble the CMA too much to have Zoopla and On the Market together. I think that with Rightmove so dominant, I don't see what they're charging as being anything that's too onerous. But yeah, look, as ever, we will keep you up to date. We'll keep an eye on it. We've got our weekly podcasts that isn't quite so emergency. But yes, we'll be back again on Tuesday next week, and we will let you know how that dust is settling a little bit more. So yeah, cheers, man.
No worries at all. I hope everyone enjoys the view.
This is where we live together.
Yeah, this is it. I sleep over there, he sleeps over there.
All right, guys, good to see you. Take care.
Bye.